morning, boys and girls, and welcome to another exciting episode of Adventures of the Broken Retired. I'm your old buddy Don, here with my dedicated but not necessarily so dependable buddy, old Elmer the Reckless Remote. We're here today to bring you a story, maybe answer questions you didn't know you had, and tell you some things you didn't know that you didn't know. First of all, I'm not an expert on this subject. I'm not an expert on any subject. I don't present this. I don't present these videos as historical fact. I present them as food for thought. You know, something to think about. Maybe you'll say to yourself, "Geez, I didn't know that." The other day, I was cruising around. I had somewhere. Actually, I had to go grocery shopping, right? And I just so happened to pass by my old favorite watering hole, and I thought to myself, you know what? Before I run to the grocery store, maybe I'll just pass by and see what them boys are up to these days. Hadn't been there in a while. Used to go there, I used to go there probably too much. And I pretty much always had a good time. You know, it was the kind of place, first of all, most of the people that went there were my age. Several of us were self-employed guys that were out working hard for a living. We would sit around and talk with each other and enjoy a couple of cool drinks and watch the Saints lose and fix all the world's problems there in just a few minutes, you know? So it was always good. We pretty much always had a good time. Nothing out of the ordinary ever really happened. I just needed a break once in a while from the constant rush, and work that being self-employed is. So I used to go there and just chill out. And that was the same reason the other guys went there as well. So anyhow, I was over there the other day and sitting next to a buddy of mine, and he was watching the guys play pool. And he said, "Wow, man, did you see that guy shot?" And then he turned around and he looked at me and said, "Speaking of shots, bro, you want one?" Well, I'm not one to turn down a shot very often, especially when I haven't had one in quite a while, and a chilled shot of a decent brand of rye just sounded good. So I said, yeah, bring it on. So we sat there and talked and had a good time. And you know, it got me to thinking, why? Of course, I think about stuff like this all the time. I thought I should be thinking about important things. But it just occurred to me, why did they call it a shot? And I decided, just for fun, why not go look it up? So after I left there, I went grocery shopping, and then I came home and sat down behind the computer. And while the computer was booting up, I started running through my mind all the different uses of the word shot, and I wrote a few down. There's no way I can remember all this, so I've got to go to the notes. So this is what I came up with while the computer was booting up. There's buckshot and birdshot for you to take a shot with your shotgun. You can use your camera for a snapshot, or the director can use the film to really capture the shot. You can take a shot at throwing the shot put. The brakes in your car can be shot. Your eyes can be bloodshot. You can either be or get shot. You can miss a free shot, thus make it a wasted shot. You can be out of there like a shot. You can take a shot at the lottery by buying a ticket. You can be a gambler or a marksman and go for the long shot. You can do as happened to me by having a friend buy you a shot, or you can go to a doctor and get a shot there. You can take a task that you're unfamiliar with and figure, why not give it a shot? Or you can do something really crazy and thus make it a moonshot. You could be a big shot and be the one calling the shots. You can work hard and try to do better by giving yourself that proverbial shot in the arm, or you can hope for the best and take a shot in the dark. In war, the enemy can be just outside a cannon shot, and there's one more shot to talk about, and that would be the shot heard around the world. That's 27 times I just said the word shot. Now, in this video, I don't plan on covering every meaning of the word, because, to be honest with you, it would take days. What I plan to do, I got to keep my screen turned down, so I got to reach around and move the mouse. I need another light in here. What I plan to cover today in this is just the meaning of the word shot in the way that it happened to me while I was there. My buddy bought me a shot. So there's a little side note that I want to put in right here because I want to make sure, wanted to make sure I didn't forget it. Something that I discovered in the process of this. Now I'm gonna have to put some words down across the bottom of the screen so you can see what's going on here, and hopefully I'm gonna add some pictures in too, more pleasant to look at than this. There was a word in early 1100s, mid 1100s. There was a word, shot, or actually it was, excuse me, it wasn't shot. The word was Scot, S-C-O-T. The word was Scot. And Scot, the meaning of that word Scot, Scot was a tax or a penalty, from what I could tell from reading it, although it was kind of difficult. A Scot was a tax or a penalty that a tenant had to pay the landlord in a dispute. So it was called a Scot. Now, I started thinking about that as well because I get sidetracked while I'm doing these things. I get sidetracked. My mind wanders. I get sidetracked, and I thought, so it's a penalty or a tax that you have to pay, and it's called a Scot. So that makes me wonder if that word Scot in that use is where the term getting off scot-free comes from. I wonder if that's related. I'm gonna have to look that up and see. Excuse me. I'm gonna have to look that up and see if that's the case, because if so, it gives me a whole nother thing to work on. But I got to figure that's probably where it came from. What that means. I've never heard any definition of getting off scot-free other than if you get off scot-free, you get away with no penalty, no punishment, no nothing. The word that we started on here, the word shot, as it pertains to a little glass full of liquor, had a journey that began back in the same time that the word Scot meant a penalty, because Scot, the same word, S-C-O-T, also meant to propel an object, like throw a rock or shoot an arrow, throw a javelin. The word Scot also meant that. And that was changed eventually, that meaning of the word was changed eventually from S-C-O-T to S-H-O-T. So that was the beginning, as far as I can tell, that was the beginning of the actual word shot, S-H-O-T. Of course, that particular case, it didn't apply to liquor, but that's what, from what I can find, that's the basis or the root of the word shot. Move ahead to 15th century England, and the word shot was applied as the meaning of the word shot, or one of the meanings of the word shot, I guess I should say, was when you went to a tavern or to a bar or to a pub, and you were in a group, the bartender would keep the tab on the group, and then it would get broken down into smaller amounts that each person had to pay. So it starts out as a whole, gets broken out into smaller pieces that people have to pay. Thus, that's your shot at what you have to pay. Somehow, by the 1700s, that meaning of the word shot being applied to a portion of the bar tab, it was still a portion of the bar tab, but it also applied to a portion of liquor. So I guess you got a shot and paid your shot, I guess was how that worked. But it was a portion of liquors then too. Now, nobody really knows specifically how that happened or why that came to be. They don't know. They can't put their finger, from what I could read, they couldn't put their finger on exactly when that transition took place. but it did. There's other rumors, or maybe, and I coined a new phrase. If it's a story an old cowboy tells you, then we'll call it a horse's tale. But there's a horse's tale about the origin of the word shot, which I thought was interesting as well. When a penniless cowboy would walk into a bar or a saloon and want a drink, there's rumors that what they would do if they didn't have any money is they would trade a bullet for a little bit of liquor, and thus it was called a shot. But chances of that being true are actually pretty far off because, first of all, liquor costs a lot more than bullets, so you wouldn't put a bullet to get a shot, okay? You'd give them a lot more than one. It wasn't a one-on-one exchange. Also, the word shot was around a long time before the old American West. So the truth of the matter is this: if that sounds kind of romantic to you and fits your meaning of the word, go for it. There's no reason why. I mean, you can believe anything you'd like to. There's another theory of where the word shot came from as it applies to liquor. And that is, when you drink a shot, I got to keep my screen on. I got to get better lights in here. When a group does their shot, typically when you drink a shot, what do? You pick up the glass, you down it, and then you put the glass back on the table. That's not what I do. I'd rather enjoy my liquor, but that's what most people do. Bam, a shot, put it back down on the table. Now, the shots are small. They weren't called shots back then, but little liquor glasses were made of glass, or they were made of copper. So if you had 6 or 8 people hammer a shot back and then slam it back down on the table would make a big bang, and it may have somewhat resembled the sound of a gun going off and then be referred to as a shot. There's another story. It's another American Old West story that claims to be the origin of the word shot. In 1913, a guy published a book. I don't remember what the name of the book is now. 1913, a guy published a book. The book was set back in the mid-1800s. Evidently, there was a guy in the American Midwest. It's a story about a guy in the American Midwest who wanted to open a saloon. So he was getting ready to do so, and I guess a bunch of the local boys didn't like the idea of him opening a saloon. So they put out a bunch of effort to try to stop the guy. And finally one day, when a barrel of liquor showed up, one of the guys shot it. And of course, all the liquor just ran out everywhere. And so that's where the word shot comes from, because every time after that, when them guys would want some liquor, they'd say, hey, let's go get a shot. So there's a bunch of possibilities for how that came to be. Pick whichever one sounds best to you. Now, let's talk about the word, the shot and the shot glass is 2 completely different things, okay? Obviously, they just happen to go together very well. But anyway, the shot glass is a completely different thing. And there's something that's very interesting about shot glasses if you come across, first of all, they weren't called shot glasses, but we're referring to them as such. If you come across a shot glass that was made before Prohibition, first of all, they're extremely rare because they were fairly delicate pieces and they didn't survive. I'm assuming that for the most part, they didn't survive through time very well. Some of them were glass and some of them were copper. If you come across a shot glass, pre-Prohibition shot glass, you've got something that's extremely hard to find and is extremely valuable, and you want to check in to find out what it is and how much it's worth before you decide to start drinking tequila out of it and fall over. It wasn't until long after Prohibition was over that they actually started making shot glasses that were thicker glass, and they still weren't called shot glasses. They were just little liquor glasses, but they started being thicker so they'd survive the abuse a little bit better. There are people who say that the term shot glass was actually wasn't even around until the mid 50s. Arthur Miller, he was a playwright. Arthur Miller, Death of a Salesman. Arthur Miller is credited with coming up with that term. Evidently, in one of his stories, he referred to a glass as a shot glass, and a lot of people credit him with having come up with that name. There's another name that that Arthur Miller is famous for being associated with. Arthur Miller was Marilyn Monroe's third husband. He was married to Marilyn Monroe from 56 to 61, and she died. It wasn't but a couple or a few years later. She was 36 when she died. She was 16 years old the first time she got married. She was on her third marriage and she was 30 years old. That's a whole crazy story. Anyway, so some people attribute Arthur Miller to coming up with the term shot glass. And there's another one. It was a guy in Germany in the mid-1800s whose name was Otto. I'm going to put it down here. His name was Otto Schott, Schott. Mr. Schott was very successful experimenting with and coming up with different types of glass. He came up with the heat-resistant glass. He purified and added chemicals or whatever to glass to make them either concave or convex, thus they could be used in microscopes and telescopes and without distortion, and nice clean lenses, nice clear lenses that let light through fully. He also developed glass that was stronger. It was tougher. It held together better, and that glass was popular because it worked well. So what you had there was you had shot glass. So some people say it's because of him. Now, he died in Germany in 1935, which is 20 years before Arthur Miller was credited with coming up with shot glass. So I don't really think that you can make any connection there, but there's no telling. And there's another one. Another theory of where shot glass came from. This one's a little bit different, but it's still pretty interesting. Back in the day, when you went out with I can't say, got to be careful with the words here. I'm hoping I'm not going to get in trouble for shot. When you used to go out with your tool and shoot your dinner, quite often in the meat after it was cooked, there would be lead pellets embedded in the meat. And so as a way to collect those at the dinner table, what they would do is they'd put a little cup or a little glass in front of you. And then whenever you came across a piece of shot, you could just put it in that glass. That kept it all together. Now, there's, three at least different places that shot glass may have come from. None of them may be true. All of them may be true. There's no telling, really. I think, there doesn't necessarily have to be one single source. All right? It doesn't mean that one person came up. I mean, shot glass, there's so many possibilities that who knows. Either way, it spread around and it worked. And shot glasses are now recognized. Now, one thing else that I thought we'd talk about. And I hate boring people to death, which I'm pretty good at. I'm probably doing it right now. But the easiest way to bore somebody to death is to start talking about numbers and such. But we're talking about shots, so I think it's a good idea that we talk about that. All right. We're going to talk about the United States, not all over the world. And the reason we're not going to talk about all over the world is because there's enough of it going on in the United States for me to cover here without having to talk about all the differences, because different places in the world, a shot is a different amount, different ways it works. We'll stick with the United States. The most common shot glass, the most common container to drink a shot from, or to be served a shot at an establishment from, is those little cups. You know, the little cups that are the inside of it, the opening is, the inside of it's kind of like an upside down cone, and around the top, I'll have to put a picture around here somewhere. Who knows where it'll be. But it's got like a cone shape on the inside, and it's got the white ring around the top, and it's kind of heavy. That's your standard procedure shot glass, as far as I know. Those typically hold 1.25 ounces to 1.5 ounces. Your most common shot size in the United States is 1.5 ounces, which is actually not a shot. Actually, a shot is 1 ounce. A jigger shot is 1.5 ounces. Shots, the amount in a shot, the amount for you to call it a shot is not regulated by law. The amount that you call a jigger shot, from what I can tell, is regulated by law. So that 1/2 ounce of liquor makes a lot of difference. By the way, at my favorite watering hole, they use those little glasses with the white ring in them, and they fill those puppies to the top. They ain't scared to serve you what you pay for. I can tell you through experience. You know, I was out playing. I played the bar circuit for 30 years. So I went to a lot of bars. And I can tell you that there's a lot of differences between shots at one place and shots at another place. Some of those places, I used to hate this. I used to hate this so much. Some of those places would give you those little itty bitty tiny plastic cups, and they'd fill that son of a bugger right to the top, and then the waitress hands it over to you. Meanwhile, it's dripping off her fingers, and then she puts it down in front of you, and it's got a ring on the table, a little puddle, because you can't put that much in it and move it. Then when you go to pick it up, and then you got stuff all over your hands, you're trying to play, you just drive me crazy. I would get, if I saw the place had those shots, I wouldn't get any, ever. Because I don't even know how much they are, but it doesn't matter. But my favorite watering hole, they use the glasses and they fill them up. So let's talk about how much a shot is. We talked about it's anywhere, just typically 1.25 ounces, 1.5 ounces is typically what a shot is, or 1.5 ounces is the most common in the United States. So let's break this down a little bit just for fun. The average liquor bottle, and be careful with this because different liquors come in different size bottles. Now, when I say, well, the liquor I'm talking about is in a 750 milliliter bottle, which is about 24.5 ounces. Now, that's considered to be 24.5 ounces, 750 milliliters, is considered to be 16 servings of liquor. When you divide the 24.5 by 16, it comes out to an ounce and a half. So they're 1.5 ounces. It's thereabouts 1.5 ounces. So they're considering a serving to be 1.5 ounces. So let's pretend you pay $25 for the bottle of liquor, which is probably not as much as you actually pay for it. I don't know. I've never been to a bar and bought liquor. You sell the shots for $5 a piece. And I think $5 a piece is probably low. It's been a good while since I bought a shot. I don't spend my money that way much anymore. So I don't know exactly what they're going for, but we'll say $5 just for round numbers. So if you take 16 servings of an ounce and a half, $5 for every ounce and a half, that 25 bottle of liquor turned into a revenue of $80. Now, if you take that same size bottle of liquor, but you cut the you cut the shot from an ounce and a half to an ounce, that $80 bottle of liquor brings you in $125. So I understand why some places, I mean, it's a money making gig. That's all I mean, their product to sell, they don't sell labor, they don't sell anything besides liquor and little bags of chips, you know. So you've got to have a decent markup there to be able to make a living. And I understand that. I also understand that quite often patrons are happier and return more often when they're served what they feel is fair, which those little tiny plastic cups don't do. So I ain't trying to tell people how to run their bar business. I've never run a bar business. I don't know diddly about the bar business. I ain't trying to tell them what to do because I know that they know better than I do. I would just prefer an ounce and a half shot in a real glass would be good for me. Shot glasses themselves are also a pretty interesting thing in the fact that they have become kind of collector's items, kind of well, the collectibles for sure. Somewhere around here, Amy's got a little shadow box full of shot glasses. Some of them are from different states. Some of them are, you know, clever little sayings, or some of them just have nice artwork on them, which is always nice to have. I don't know how many of them there is in there. There's a bunch. And yet, if you think about it, pretty much any truck stop anywhere has a little rack, you know, that turns around, that has different shot glasses from different states, and people take them home. And it's kind of funny that the truth of the matter is, in that case, I don't know what the capacity of those glasses is. They're called shot glasses. I don't know what the capacity of them are. They're probably closer to an ounce because they're smaller glasses, making them less expensive, less expensive to produce, more profit margin. And seeing how people aren't going to drink out of them anyway, you know, they don't have to be real useful or purposeful because they're just going to be display items. But those shot glasses are nothing to do with liquor for the most part. I mean, they might say tequila on them because everybody shoots tequila. But for the most part, they're just little glasses that look fancy. And people like to keep them around because they show them off, you know. I have saved a few shot glasses over my years. I have consumed a shot or two. I don't. It's funny, as you get older, you don't have the desire to do that as much. You don't feel like it. It doesn't, you know, which is probably a good thing. I mean, I hate to admit, I would really, really hate to admit that I have matured. I'd really rather not grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. But sometime, I guess at some point, you got to. But I don't drink like I used to. It's not as much fun anymore. Anyhow, it's probably a very good thing that it's not as fun anymore. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you listening and talking and being here and subscribing and everything. It's been a lot of fun to do this. You know, this is what's the date today? This is November 25th, 2025. I started this channel July 21st. So it's been, what, 4 months? July, August, September, October. Been 4 months. It's been a lot of fun. I've got just shy of 200 videos out there. It's getting more fun every time because the research is more fun. And I hope that it continues to be fun. And I will continue to do it as long as people don't tell me to stop. So So thanks a lot for being here. Now there's a couple of things that I need to go look up. I need to go look up scot-free to find out if that is in fact where that term came from. And I need to check into letting my computer boot up. And I think I've got a good idea of what's going on there, but I ain't gonna say anything right off the bat. Thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. Can't say enough how good it is to see you stopping in. Thank you. We'll see you next time.